Hello everyone and welcome to the Nekozuki Knits podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 19th, 2016, and this is the first podcast of 2016, so Happy New Year everyone. I'd like to say hello to all returning viewers and welcome any new viewers as well. I'm really happy to see y'all here. Well, chat at you while I actually talk to my, still taking camera, but I know you're here in spirit. So this is episode 21, and I've done a lot over the past few weeks, and I'm really sorry that I have lapsed in my recording schedule, but December threw me for a real doozy, and I just haven't recovered since. So this is the first couple of weeks, first few days, that I've felt really up to sitting in front of the camera and talking at y'all. I don't know what it was, but I think I'm coming out of it, so fingers crossed that 2016 gets a little bit better and a little bit less anxious. Okay, so right now, and I don't have it, but most of my whips are secret projects. They are design projects, so it's not something I normally show. And the other thing I'm working on are Frankenfinger mitts for my niece out of the leftover yarn from her Loki socks that I gave her at Christmas. I don't actually have that. No, I don't have it in the room, I'm sorry. But I will post a picture of both the mitts and the socks at the end. And that is one of the faux that I had this week, so finished objects, was I finished her socks in time for Christmas. They were out of Penguin Soup Emperor yarn, and they were gorgeous and squishy, and she loved them, so I was very happy for that. I also finished Dallas's socks out of Caterpillar green yarn. So this was the other Christmas project that I worked on. Unfortunately, the vanilla bean pattern did pull in the sock too much, so they are uncomfortably tight, so I'm going to have to rip these out and re-knit them. They should go faster this time, at least. These went super fast anyway. And since I did a separate heel, I'm going to rip out the foot, save the heel I think, then rip out the remainder here as well. And just start knitting again from the toe, and then I'm pretty sure I should be able to knit like a couple rows on the heel and then work back up, just so I don't have to actually re-knit the heel. Otherwise, he really likes the color and everything, so I'm happy for that. I love the striping pattern on this. This is Caterpillar green yarn, MCN base, merino cashmere nylon, and it's the Skyline colorway with an accent skein of this blue. So I'll show these again when I'm actually working on them again, and once they're finished, obviously. Let's see, what else do I have written down here? Okay, so I also finished the Camilla Babe by Carrie Bostick Hogue, which I'll post a picture of at the end of this as well. And I did actually post a picture of that on Instagram on Remy. So if you've seen my Instagram in the last few weeks, it was finished just before New Year's. And that was out of Patton's Classic Merino Worsted. And yeah, I'm basically just using up stash as the colorway Orchid. So there's a whole bunch of stash over here that I actually have to use up, and that was part of it. And then the other thing I finished was out of the review skein I have of Ancient Arts yarn, which is Lapsang Hat by Claire Devine. And this yarn is Ancient Arts yarn Kitten Nose Pink in their brand new base, the Big Squeeze. And it's gorgeous. They introduced this at the Calgary Fiber Arts Fair in November, and Caroline generously donated a skein for me to review, and I have to say that I have no complaints. This was originally going to become a linen stitch cowl, and I decided not to do that because the yarn needed places to be instead of being super squished like the linen stitch was doing. So I figured a nice bulky lace hat would fill the bill. And as you can see by the bottom here, like, I've ripped this 2 or 3 times and you can't even tell. Held its shape really nice, has nice, excellent stitch definition, not just nice. And the pattern is really good too. I love the detailing up here for the hat decreases, and it fits really well. I will attempt to put it on without having to do too much to my hair. So I blocked it over a balloon, A little bit of slouch in the back here. Super squishy and super warm too, which is nice. It's nice quick knit in the bulky yarn. I think I finished that 2.5 days or something like that, so nothing too bad. Yeah, and so I do have one more skein to review, which is her 8-ply cabled yarn, and that will be coming soon. Alright, and then the final thing that I finished between actually writing my notes and recording is I finished my Wingspan. Now, I haven't blocked it or woven in ends or anything like that. However, I did do 9 wedges, and I think I'm showing you the back. Nope, that's the right side. So it's 9 wedges out of a Shuttle wool crazy Zauber ball. And I think this is colloquially known as watermelon color. So it's just a nice little shawlette. It'll be a lot better once I actually get it blocked. Although the garter is super squishy, so I'm not going to block it a lot. Just enough to kind of make it so that this comes around, and then the other piece that's around the back of my neck right now actually can come down and around too. Something like that. So I'm not there's nothing wrong with the pattern or anything, but this is not my favorite finished object ever. And I'm not quite sure why. It's super easy to knit, nice yarn, everything like that. It just, when I started it, it was fine, but it just didn't continue to sing its praises through the remainder of the project. So I'm glad that I was able to just kind of finish it off. I do love the striping that it did though too. So, those are all the finished objects for knitting. I did do spinning, and so I'll talk about that, but I do also have a lot of reading to talk about too. So I spun 2 roving / tops from West Coast Color and Carding that I purchased at Olds 2015 in June. And so this is the first one. This is a merino silk, and it is, I spun it, and then I Navajo plied it, which creates a 3-ply. And the really cool part about this one was it's so dark. It looks way better in person than it's showing up on camera because it is so dark, but there's lots and lots and lots of color in it still. Basically, it was a rainbow with black mixed in with it, and it was really cool. Very nice to spin. Only took me a couple days, which was good. And yeah, not much more to say. It was enjoyable. I forgot the gram amount, but it was close to 3.5 ounces. And I have not measured yardage since I washed it because I figured like it was going to hopefully ploof up a bit. There are a few places where my spinning has definitely made it stiffer, but I still love Navajo plying my yarn. Then the other one I spun was also from West Coast Color and Carding, and this is a BFL Tussa blend, and I love the spinning of this. I did an intentional thick and thin, with the thought process that I would then felt it, and in felting it, I did kind of ruin it. I'm still going to use it, but the gloriously poofy things, oops, sorry, Delia just jumped up into the window, and it's a little bit further than she's anticipating, the floofy bits aren't quite as floofy as they were when I pulled it off, but the problem with it is that it is a single, and so I didn't want to, and there's a break, which I know happened when I was felting it. Anyway, I didn't want to leave it just as a single without doing something to it, and because it was thick and thin, I didn't want to ply it with anything, although I have this feeling that that would have been better to just ply it with some like commercial, just to give it that added strength, because that's what I've heard about singles is like they don't have a lot of intrinsic strength, and that makes sense because the plies add strength into your yarn. And as you can see, I definitely overspun it in some places, but overall I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's next time I will do it again, but I don't know how exactly I will do it next time. So it's a learning thing, and the nice thing about it was something new, so I actually entered it into a craft all the things along with the Knit Girls on Ravelry, because it's something I've never done, and they're doing it with a theme of do something new to you. And sorry, I just kicked the camera. Okay, so read or reading. I actually am not reading anything right now. I finished all my books. So I read Their Fractured Light by Emmy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. That was the final book in These Broken Stars, and it was amazing. That was definitely a sit down and read it all in as few sittings as possible. Thankfully, I had the time to do that. I don't remember if I talked about these last podcasts, but I finished Rain and Storm by Amanda Soon, which is part of, or Sun. They were part of the Paper Gods trilogy, and I enjoyed them. She finished off that series very well. By Terry Pratchett, I've read The Color of Magic and Light Fantastic, the first two books in the Discworld series. And I did also finish the third book, Equal Rights. I read The Madman's Daughter by Megan Shepherd, which is part of a trilogy, and I'll be reading the other two, and I'll give you a more, like a better review of them when we get there. But that's this one. A little bit more YA, again, older teen, like most of the books that I read, but not adult fiction either. The other one that I really enjoyed that I just read is Dream Strider by Lindsay Smith. And sorry, it is a bit reflective because I've actually started going back to the library. But very enjoyable. I really like this one. And you can actually see me right there in the reflection. Yay! And it looks like there's a cat under her chin. I love the cover too. It's so gorgeous. Anyway, that was really good. I would really recommend this one. This one is older teen again, although less so than The Madman's Daughter. I would say that this could be read by 14-year-olds, whereas Madman's Daughter I would say would have to be about 16. The Madman's Daughter is basically a retelling of the island of Dr. Moreau, so keep that in mind. It's fairly gruesome. And let's see, what else have I read? Okay, so the only other thing I have written down is I read and finished The Astronaut Wives Club by Lily Koppel, and it was interesting actually. I wish it had been a little bit more biographical instead of gossipy, but I enjoyed it, and it was interesting to kind of read from their perspective instead of the male perspective on the astronauts all the time. Let's see, okay, sorry, my handwriting is terrible, and there's been a bunch of stuff that's kind of been added in. So for Christmas, Dallas got me a bulky flyer for my ladybug. That's why I wanted to test out the thick and thin as well, so that I could try out the bulky flyer on my spinning wheel. Love it. I love the smoother, like I don't have to change hooks. I can just push it instead of having to actually take the yarn off and hook it back and all of that. Not like that was a big deal, but I do like having the bulky orifice as well, so that I can do the thick and thin without feeling, well, without getting it caught in the orifice, which was still happening with some of the chunks that I sent through. And that also brings me into the fact that Shuttle Works down in Okotoks, or De Winton, Alberta, which is about 2 hours south of us, is actually closing. So they're having a big sale right now, and if we weren't going to Japan, I would be totally taking advantage of the 25% off Shakti wheels. So if you're in the southern Alberta area, definitely something to check out if you're into spinning, knitting, anything like that, weaving especially. I was actually able to get all of the Barbara Walker knitting treasury books for 25% off, which was fantastic because it's really hard to come by them all in like a set. And so I was able to get all 4. And some spinning fiber and some weaving swords so that I can actually be using my lap loom, and another bobbin for my shaft as well, just so that I have 3 instead of 2, so that I can actually do a 2-ply eventually, hopefully. And then we did actually go out for New Year's Eve. We went to a masquerade at the Carriage House Inn. And sorry, there's a cat down here knocking on the stand. And that was really good. It was really nice because it included a 6-course dinner and then like a dance party. And then it actually included a hotel room so that you didn't have to leave or get a cab, which being in Cochrane and coming from South Calgary would be quite expensive, like restrictively expensive. And it was right across from Ranchman's, which is another big like bar. And I wouldn't want to be on the roads that night anyway because it's New Year's. And so yeah, we really enjoyed New Year's, and it'll be something that we're doing again, although I think we'll go and do the buffet instead, because the 6-course meal took like, it started at 7 and then it took till 10, and so then you're trying to find music that you actually like to dance to, and it was just kind of scattered. So I think we'll do the buffet so it's done sooner so that we can actually like party more. And the other thing was the 6-course meal came with 6 wine pairings, and I can't drink that much all like, I guess over 3 hours it's better, but like I don't like, I prefer to spread my drinks out and not have them all be wine, although the cocktail with dessert was the best drink there. So I might have to figure out how they did that. I did get some stash enhancement over Christmas, but that is something that I will talk about as I use it, because I didn't bring it in with me. I have to figure out where I'm going to actually put it in my, in this too. And then I did say that I would talk about my goals for 2016. So one of my goals is to learn brioche, which I actually did start the other night, but I'm not very far into it, so I didn't want, like, basically I knit 5 rounds in stockinette and then did a few wonky rows in brioche. So you'll see that afterwards, because I'm actually going to rip it out and recast on in a smaller cast on amount, because right now there's too many stitches. I'm just going to do like a simple cowl. By the end of 2016 I do want 24 designs, and the good news about that is that what I have been working on are 4 more designs that will be going up for testing here soon, so that'll bring it up to a total of 10. Right now I do need to produce 17 more patterns before the end of 2016, and I do have about well, there's 4, and there's at least 2 more that I know that I want to attempt. I want to spin down my fiber stash, so I want to use all of the fiber that I purchased at Olds 2015 before going to Olds 2016. I do have silk from like Olds, so I understand that I may not get that spun down, but like stuff like this I totally can. So right now I have 3 more braids from Olds right now, and silk that I want to spin. So I should be able to do at least the braids before I go. And then the final one, which is kind of going off of Mina from, sorry, the Knitting Expat podcast. I'm sorry. I'm suddenly got really tired and now my brain's like, over here. Anyway, this is kind of going off of Mina of the Knitting Expat podcast. That I want to use more yarn, so put more yarn out than I bring in. And so that, like, I'm just gonna go by skein amount. So if I bring 1 skein in, no matter if it's fingering or worsted or bulky, that's 1 skein in, and vice versa, 1 skein out is whatever I use. So I want to be down the number of skeins that I am at the beginning of the year. Now I didn't count any of my skeins that are back here. I don't have all my stash in Ravelry or anything like that. What I'm doing is I'm just going to keep a tally of how many skeins I've taken out and how many skeins I've put in. And we'll see how that goes. So basically I'm just keeping a tally in my day planner. And right now I have 6 skeins in, and I've used, oh, and I'm counting like this, even though I started this in October, I finished it this year. So it's counting into this out versus in. So I've actually used 1, 2, and I would probably count the Loki sock yarn as well. So there's 3 out so far, plus all the designs that I've been doing. So there's 7 skeins out of my stash and 6 in this month. So I'm actually going to balance out. And granted, there will be months where I purchase a lot more than I put out, but that's fine. Really, I shouldn't be purchasing much before any of my fiber markets anyway, which will be June. So I've got some time to work out getting things out of my stash. Sorry, there is fiber up my nose and I need a drink. Okay, so the other good news is that I do have a shop update coming. The shop update will be taking place on January 25th. Sorry, I just checked my phone. And then I'm going to say that it's going to take place at, let's do 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's 6 p.m. Eastern. So that gives lots of folks time to get home. So it's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Eastern Standard, and then I believe that makes it 6:30 Atlantic Standard Time. I would like to point out that with the Canadian dollar as it is, it's an excellent time to purchase in my shop. There's no way to go around that. I think that the exchange rate right now is 35% or 35 cents on the dollar. And I'm sorry, I'm talking about US dollar to Canadian dollar. So I will be keeping all of my Canadian dollar pricing so that it favors both my American customers and my Canadian customers as well. The one thing that will be changing, and I'm sorry, if nobody wants to hear about my shop news, I will chat with you all in a couple weeks. I will get back onto a regular bi-weekly, semi-monthly, there we go, semi-monthly recording schedule so that everybody knows what's happening. But if you do want to hear about shop news, this is where to listen to it. Anyway, shop update on the 25th, and my pricing will remain in Canadian dollars to favor my American customers, and most folks abroad as well, because the Canadian dollar is definitely losing ground against the American dollar because of oil. But it's doing pretty good against most other currencies, so I'm just going to keep it as it is. I know a few people have switched to USD, but I'm going to stay Canadian. So if you are purchasing from the US, definitely take a look or watching from the US, because it will be very much in your favor right now. And for Canadian customers, it's very much in your favor too. I do keep my shipping very low for within Canada, simply so that it's not as much of a detriment or a chore to purchase if that's where you don't like paying. So it is standard letter mail, but it will get to you within Canada, usually within 2 weeks at the most, even within the US. And then the other news is that there will be a slight price adjustment between my bags. Last summer when I was going through and making so many bags, I noticed how much more time my box bags take than my wedge bags. So in seeing that will be my one price increase this year, and both my small and my large box bags will be going up by $5. Now, the good news on this is that this will only affect new bags made in 2016. So everything that is currently posted in the shop and everything that I will be posting on the 25th will still be at their current pricing, which is $35 and $45 Canadian, plus shipping. And that will change once I start into new stock. So all my new prints that I'm currently washing upstairs. Simply so that it keeps everything easy and I don't have to change tags on them for shows. So box bags will be going to $40 for a small box bag and $50 for a large box bag, simply because there are so many more corners to sew. My wedge bags of all sizes and everything else will be staying the same cost, even with the difference in fabric costs. I do absorb that a little bit, and I'm able to, thankfully, and thankfully for your support, I'm able to as well. But box bags will be going up just that $5. And currently, US dollar pricing does not affect my fabrics, at least not too much that I've seen. So I don't think I'm going to have to make any adjustments for that so far, but that might change depending on how much more we go down against the US dollar, and where I'm able to actually purchase my fabrics and in what currency. So far, fingers crossed, I don't have to do anything for fabric pricing. And as far as I can tell, postal prices are not going up either. So the only thing that will be changing is the box bag pricing. In other excellent news, if you were watching back at Knit City and during Calgary Fiber Arts Fair, I do have 2 remaining Sapin Calc kits, which will be going up in the shop this coming week. So they are a collaboration between myself and Yarn Ink, and you receive 2 skeins of the Yarn Ink gradient. You receive 1 small box bag from me, 1 removable snowflake stitch marker from me, and the pattern for this cowl here, as well as the download code for it on Ravelry. So everything except for your needles is included in this. And if you want the stitch marker that I have in here is removable, so you can use it as a zipper pull, or you can just clip it on the side of your knitting if you want it as a progress keeper, or you crochet and would prefer to use this yarn for crochet. I'm not going to judge. But the bag is a gorgeous snowflake pattern, and you will see that in the listing. These, because they are a mix between myself and Yarn Ink, are a little bit more, a little bit higher price point. So they will be $90, but there's the contents. And you do receive them in this gorgeous little box, so that if you want to purchase it, you receive it as a gift for yourself or another. And shipping on these will also reflect the weight of the yarn. So look for all of that information in the listing for it. So there's only 2 kits left, and once those are gone, they're done. There will be no more kits. The fabric, I do have more fabric, but I am actually holding it as an exclusivity period, and I haven't quite decided when it's going to come out of that exclusivity period, because they only came out in October. Okay, and then most of what I have to post this week is repeats or stuff I missed, actually, to be quite honest, when I was doing my big update after Calgary Fiber Arts Fair. But I'll go through and show you what will be showing up anyway. So there will be 2 of a small kitty cat box bag. There's 2 of them, and they both have matching handles. They match the fabric. There will be a cat tamari with pink background, and this is a wee box bag, so this is one of the ones that only holds 100-gram cake. There is a large box bag in that same black cat pattern, and the handle is coordinates with lining. I believe there are a couple of these guys, the marble bags. Sorry, let me look. I hadn't completely decided whether I was going to show these to you today, and so I'm slightly unprepared. So there's 2 of them. Both exactly the same handles, double stitched, red pull ties, and a blue zipper. The only thing that is a little bit different is the fabric placement. So the comic strip here is on the front. Marble bags, 2 of them. Fabric placement does differ a bit, not much. Cupcake bags. I love the cupcake bags, mostly because they have cupcake ribbon tie poles, which is fantastic. And as you can see, my bags are not super they're squishy. One has a yellow handle, one has a blue handle, and the blue handled one does have a blue zipper. Yellow handled one has a pink zipper. These, of course, will all be photographed properly so that you can actually see all the details too. Fall Leaves box bag, gray zipper, and bright orange inside so you can see what you're knitting. 2 sheep bags, blue sheep bags. Large box bags are good for worsted weight sweater, about 42-inch bust, long sleeves as well. So if you're a larger lady or larger gentleman and need a little bit more space in your bags, let me know, because I'm more than happy to make a larger one. It's just that it was easy to test the sizing. There's another wee box bag. Those ones you've already seen. There will be more of these Baroque prints. There's 2 of them available. And those are the large wedge bags. There's a large pink cat with doilies, and there's actually 2 of them. Pink zippers. A small wedge with meowed retro print. Pugs on vacation in a large wedge. I love these pug fabrics. I found this random sushi bag with the bright yellow handle, bright yellow orange tabs, aqua zipper. One of my favorite fabrics, and I believe this is the last bag in its type. Matching handle, red zipper to pull out the reds in this, and then a purple lining. Now you have seen this fabric, but you haven't seen this bag. There's a large, oh right, so there is another of the butterfly bags in the shop right now, but they both have different stitching on the handle, so they're going to be separate listings. Essentially the same though. Pink kimono print with sakura. Another cat, black cat with doilies. Striped pink tabs, large wedge. And then a few notions pouches. Mickey Mouse. A white one. With just a nice delicate kimono print. Sorry, I'll try not to burn out your eyeballs. A purple one. And then, my favorite, a fairy tales bag. And so actually one side Beauty and the Beast is upright, and then on the other side Rapunzel's upright along with fairy tales down at the bottom there, and Little Mermaid. I am going to have more of this fabric available in pink, which does make it look a little bit different, but this is my last bag in the small wedge for the taupe. So that is everything that I currently have finished that will be going up in the shop Monday the 27th. There might be a few surprise things because I am currently working on a few things actually, and I hope that you all enjoy what you see, and I will chat with you all in a couple weeks. Thanks so much and have an awesome day. Bye!